Here is Immortal Moments for explanation. Friends, like videos and subscribes to our channel. Swallowed Star 2 Land of Origin Part 89 Explanation. So let's start our explanation. Primordial Hall, first floor, shop number 3. Oh. BUU, a plump elder, widened his eyes as he examined the lower-level primordial life corpses stored in the storage bag, among which a huge, completely red corpse was particularly conspicuous, judging by its size and aura. This is surely a mid-stage Divine Emperor low-level primordial life. BUU looked at Luo Feng and Emperor Qing in surprise. In Yulan City, being able to hunt a mid-stage Divine Emperor low-level primordial life already proved the team's strength. Hurry up and make an offer, Emperor Qing urged. For this flame demon corpse, I can offer the highest 12.5 million primordial crystals, said BUU, including its 10 battle merits. That makes a total of 13.5 million primordial crystals. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing glanced at each other. This was indeed the highest offer. The other two shops they just visited, excluding battle merits, offered a maximum of 12 million and 12.2 million respectively. This flame demon corpse is yours, Emperor Qing said with a smile. Hearing this, BUU immediately laughed heartily. He was determined to get his hands on the complete flame demon corpse. The core tendons of the flame demon corpse were long-term purchasing targets for the power behind him, and other body materials could also be used for artifact refining, used in medicine, or for making puppets and more. Don't just see it as a mid-stage Divine Emperor low-level primordial life corpse. That's because these lives are of a lower realm and cannot fully utilize their advantages. Being an entity born outside of the braided cage, their bodies are quite special and can play a greater role in the hands of cultivators. Even the last bits and pieces can also serve as materials for cultivators to study and practice their cultivation. All are sold. Luo Feng and his group visited the 3 most familiar shops on the first floor of the Primordial Hall, selling everything suitable. This time, from our hunting of 1 mid-stage and 7 early-stage Divine Emperor low-level primordial lives, we have earned a total of 19.5 million primordial crystals. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing also simplified the division of income. Splitting 70-30, Emperor Qing took away 5.85 million primordial crystals, and the remaining 13.65 million primordial crystals went to Luo Feng. Luo Feng, in order to purchase the array map secret treasure, also borrowed 300,000 primordial crystals from Emperor Qing, which he now has returned. The spoils of war from killing Kumo. Don't rush the process, Emperor Qing said. Take a more thorough look around Yulan City. Luo Feng nodded. Those spoils of war are a bit troublesome to deal with. If lazy, you could sell them all here in the Primordial Hall. But that would mean a huge discount. A complete low-level primordial life corpse can be sold here. However, many scattered materials, even many formulated deadly poisons, and some precious materials prepared for poison making, still need to be sold to those who know their stuff. Spend a few more days on this process. Luo Feng was in no rush. Such a large batch of spoils of war must be handled well. Also be careful with Kumo's master, Yong, and the Deceit Workshop. Emperor Qing reminded before leaving. Luo Feng then went to deal with those spoils of war. In Yulan City, there are a total of 3 forces that regularly commit theft and plunder, namely Insect Nest, Shadow Tower, and Deceit Workshop. You should know the entire city has 723 individuals with the strength of late-stage Divine Emperor Enlightenment. These 3 forces dare to plunder like this without fearing offending enemies, showing they all have strong backing. Deputy Workshop Master, the Kumo from the Black Light team is dead, reported the 4 experts from the team, who had returned to Yulan City ahead of Luo Feng and his group, naturally also passing on the news. The entire Deceit Workshop has 8 Deputy Workshop Masters. Each possesses the strength of late-stage Divine Emperor Enlightenment, and among them, 5 serve as elders of Yulan City. The 8 Deputy Workshop Masters are the actual managers of the Deceit Workshop. Regarding the Workshop Master? The Workshop Master has extremely strong strength, already approaching the level of the 3 Hall Masters. Usually, he is not visible. The main focus of the Workshop Master is on his avatar in the Dark Sacred Realm. Maintaining the existence of the Deceit Workshop is simply to reap sufficient benefits. Kumo is dead. A stunningly handsome man in a white robe sat there, his entire body naturally emitting a thin layer of halo. If you look closely, the halo is actually formed by thousands of protective layers. The beautiful man is one of the deputy workshop masters of Deceit Workshop, Elder Tian. I only have 20 teams under my command, and suddenly losing a member from the Blacklight team, rearranging the team members is quite bothersome. Elder Tian chuckled lightly, his fingers as smooth and translucent as crystal jade, leisurely pouring wine. How did he die? Deputy Workshop Master, the detailed report is here. The figure in golden armor respectfully presented the report. Elder Tian glanced over it. The report outlined the entire process of the previous battle, all displayed. Luo Feng? Elder Tian murmured softly, a cultivator who has only been in Yulan City for about 700 years, his physical body method is somewhat interesting. However, he didn't pay much attention to it. Coming from the source world himself, serving as an elder in Yulan City and as a deputy workshop master in the Deceit Workshop, all for the sake of reaping benefits along the way. His main focus is also in the dark sacred realm. As one who has reached the stage of late-stage divine emperor enlightenment long ago, his wealth accumulated over long years, even in Yulan City, he possesses a complete and powerful set of secret treasures, naturally not putting Luo Feng in his eyes. Killing my subordinate, he should compensate me somehow. Elder Tian glanced at the golden armored figure. Go find Luo Feng, tell him, compensate 50 million primordial crystals, and we'll call it even. If he is unwilling to pay, you don't need to say more, just come back, Elder Tian instructed. Yes. The golden armored figure responded respectfully and immediately left. Elder Tian leisurely sipped his wine, his mood not fluctuating at all. A subordinate died? He didn't care at all. The purpose of his avatar staying in Yulan City is solely to accumulate resources. Yulan City, it's been boring for too long, Elder Tian revealed a hint of a smile. Luo Feng? I truly hope you refuse me, that would be somewhat interesting. To continuously reap benefits in Yulan City, apart from reputation, you also need sufficient deterrence. Deterrence is to be fought for. HMPH. Elder Tian his eyes were ice cold. Compared to the harshness of the dark sacred realm, the days in the Nine Rivers sacred realm were purely a relaxation for Elder Tian. In the core area of Yulan City, within a cave mansion that boasted better security and energy supply than even Emperor Qing's dwelling. Kumo is dead. Yong in the cave mansion received the news, along with the full battle progress from his 4 companions. Yong had a considerably imposing physique. He was not from the Enlightened One lineage, but a primordial bloodline cultivator. Strength-wise, he had nearly elevated the primordial bloodline to the half-primordial level. Yet, he was a fraction short. True half-primordial level bloodline cultivators had a status comparable to those at the late-stage Divine Emperor Enlightenment. The strength Yong possessed now allowed him just barely meet the minimal threshold to enter the dark sacred realm. But he was reluctant to try. Should he go, he would be at the bottom tier. He would rather continue his accumulation in the Nine Rivers sacred realm, until he truly reached the half-primordial level. Oh, Kumo. Yong sighed softly. I've said before, coming to Nine Rivers sacred realm has made our days much more relaxed. There was no need to join that deceit workshop. Yong and Kumo climbed up from the very bottom together. Throughout this process, they had other companions too, but ultimately only the 2 of them reached the Nine Rivers sacred realm. For cultivators from the source world, the path of cultivation was much tougher, and achieving the status of Divine Emperor was incredibly challenging. Yet, their pressures within the source world weren't that intense. But Yong and Kumo had various resources, making their cultivation easier, yet crises were frequent, and the threat of death drove them relentlessly to cultivate. If not strong, then dead. I've seen Senior Jin with my own eyes, Yong sighed. Senior Jin said that as long as we can escape the braided cage, he's willing to revive a large number of our dead comrades. For us, the most crucial thing is to escape the braided cage rather than fight other cultivators to death. Yong understood his disciple, Kumo, very well. Kumo grew up amidst slaughter all his life. Becoming a divine emperor, he still habitually followed that path because it was the fastest way to amass resources. Before, our environment forced us, we had to kill. But now in Nine Rivers' sacred realm, we are not forced, we can slow down. Yong cherished these relatively leisurely and calm days. Luofeng? Yong looked at the complete report. Perhaps, Luofeng is Kumo's calamity. He held no hostility towards Luofeng, initiating plunder and wanting to kill the opponent. If it resulted in death, who could be blamed? On the path of growth through slaughter, Yong had seen too many companions' deaths, and he was even prepared for his own at any moment. Ultimately, he and Kumo were very fortunate to completely transcend their original world and come to Nine Rivers' sacred realm. That Kumo died here, Yong was not surprised at all. Choosing the path of plunder meant being prepared for backlash. I won't avenge you, Yong said softly, sighing. I believe, Kumo, you would expect the same. The two understood each other too well. Called master and disciple, but having grown together through the long years, they were companions in life and death. My path of cultivation has only one goal, that is to escape the braided cage. Yong's eyes held an unprecedented firmness, for only by escaping the braided cage could he make up for too many regrets. Luofeng was visiting various merchants in Yulan City, seeking the best deal for handling his massive amount of spoils of war, not necessarily for the highest price, but a close one. The sky had darkened, and the wind was strong. Just as Luofeng exited a merchant's place, he saw a golden armored figure in front appearing before him, covered in golden armor, his face cold as he looked at Luofeng. Deceit Workshop, Chiao Yike. Luofeng immediately recognized the other. He had earlier purchased citywide information on Divine Emperors, and although he hadn't updated it recently, the data on Divine Emperors changed little in a short period. Chiao Yike, a member of the Deceit Workshop with the strength of a mid-stage Divine Emperor. You came because of Kumo? Luofeng looked at him. Luofeng. The golden-armored figure looked at Luofeng. Kumo was under the Deputy Workshop Master Elder Tian from our Deceit Workshop. You killed Kumo, and the Deputy Workshop Master was furious. However, considering Kumo attempted to rob you first, an opportunity for redemption is given. An opportunity for redemption? Luofeng looked at him. Compensate with 50 million primordial crystals, and Deceit Workshop will not pursue it further, the golden armored figure stated. 50 million primordial crystals. Luofeng burst into laughter. Your Deceit Workshop's team tried to plunder and kill me outside the city. I retaliated and now you demand I redeem myself by compensating? Do I just stand there and be slaughtered when faced with plunder and killing? You can fight back, and after that, you still have to pay, said the golden armored figure. Deliver 50 million primordial crystals to the Deputy Workshop Master within 3 days. Of course, you can choose not to pay. But the consequences aren't something you'd want to see. Having said this, the golden armored figure turned and walked away. Don't wait 3 days. Luofeng spoke up. Go back and tell your Deputy Workshop Master Elder Tian behind you, not to talk about 50 million primordial crystals. Not a single primordial crystal. Whatever tricks you have, just bring it on. The golden armored figure looked at Luofeng and cracked a smile. Impressive. Having said that, he swiftly flew away. The nighttime city of Yulan remains bustling, and Luofeng gazes at the departing golden armored figure, sensing the undisguised malice from the other party. In the eyes of that golden armored figure, Chiao Yike, Luofeng's days ahead would be miserable. They ambush outsiders. Failure to ambush leads to them demanding compensation from the victim? Deceit Workshop, truly domineering. Luofeng gently shakes his head. As for Elder Tian I shall see just what he can do to me. Luofeng smiles slightly and then continues to visit the next merchant. Meanwhile, inside Emperor Qing's cave mansion. The avatar of Luofeng here has already immediately gathered his companions. What's happened? Emperor Ming has been in seclusion and cultivation, losing the desire to hunt. However, he didn't block the communications from Luofeng and Emperor Qing, even during seclusion. Brother Luofeng, what's the matter? Di Fu is busy working at the 9-ringed world tower in the city. Of course, He has an avatar in the cave mansion, practicing the Tao of infinite space. Emperor Qing sits to one side, guessing already, is it Deceit Workshop? Luo Feng looks at his three companions and nods. Just now, Deputy Workshop Master Elder Tian He from Deceit Workshop sent someone to see me, demanding I compensate 50 million primordial crystals and to let the matter of the ambush and counter-killing slide. I refused outright. Ambush and counter-killing? You were ambushed outside. Emperor Ming and Di Fu now realize that the two strong legs they rely on have gotten into big trouble outside. Emperor Qing explains, on our way back from hunting, Brother Luo Feng and I were attacked by a Deceit Workshop team. That team consisted of 5 mid-stage Divine Emperor Enlightened powerhouses. They surrounded us. Brother Luo Feng killed one called Kumo, and the other 4 withdrew in fear. 2 against 5, you killed one? A mid-stage Divine Emperor Enlightened at that. Emperor Ming and Di Fu are shocked. Di Fu, who is painstakingly working towards attaining the ultimate realm of God King. Emperor Ming, on the path of primordial bloodline, is only at the early stage God Emperor level. He is well aware that a mid-stage Divine Emperor Enlightened corresponds to a late-stage Divine Emperor Bloodline Cultivator. Such a level of Bloodline Cultivator is only a step away from the half-primordial level, and they were counter-killed by Luo Feng. Deceit Workshop is threatening me, Luo Feng says, looking at Emperor Ming and Di Fu. I am not afraid of them, but you two should be careful. Emperor Qing also nods. The retaliation from Deceit Workshop will come swiftly. There are strict laws within the city, they don't dare act boldly and cannot trouble me and Brother Luo Feng openly, but your two strengths are too weak, even some covert methods are sufficient to deal with you both. I haven't gone out recently, Emperor Ming speaks. I have many avatars, Di Fu laughs, those that go out are very poor. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing then nod in agreement. The laws of Yulan city are strict, although some elders carry out ruthless deeds in secret, the city is enveloped in layers of formations on the surface and they can't openly defy the laws, Emperor Qing says to Luo Feng, even underhanded tactics are clandestine. Such methods can't harm you or me. Luo Feng agrees as well. With his blood sea undying body, even if Elder Tian He made a move openly, they would both have to use some techniques to kill Luo Feng's blood sea undying body. It is still safe in the city. Insect Nest, Shadow Tower, Deceit Workshop, they all carry out ruthless deeds. Their revenge is mainly carried out outside of the city, Emperor Qing says. We don't have absolute confidence now, so let's not go out hunting for the time being. All right, Luo Feng agrees. First, let's rest well for a period of time. Emperor Qing, who has just reached mid-stage Divine Emperor, can expect that it will be very difficult to make a breakthrough for a long time. He needs a long period of accumulation and doesn't wish to rush into danger now that he has offended Deceit Workshop. Luo Feng, having obtained a large amount of spoils of war, also wants to properly digest these treasures. The retaliation from Deceit Workshop came very quickly. Just 2 days later, Di Fu lost his job at the 9-ringed World Tower, and on his way back, he was silently obliterated. Even how the assailant made the move could not be investigated. Deceit Workshop truly knows no bounds, they targeted you. Even though Luo Feng and Emperor Qing were prepared for it, they were quite irritated when it happened. Organizations like Deceit Workshop have no shame. Di Fu chuckled and said, it was just a menial job, not worth mentioning. I guess Deceit Workshop simply passed the word to someone in the middle management of 9-ringed World Tower, and with just a word, my job was gone. After all, Di Fu's status was too low, belonging to the lowest layer in the 9-ringed World Tower. The stealth attack on you involved causality, Emperor Qing said on the side. Thankfully, the entire 9 Rivers Sacred Realm greatly suppresses causality, and the formation of this cave mansion also has isolation effects. That's why it didn't harm your avatar inside the cave mansion. If the avatar inside the cave mansion had also died, I would have had to make the journey from Land of Origin again. Di Fu laughed. I never imagined that I, a low-level resident of Yulan City, would have the honor of being targeted by Deceit Workshop. You were implicated by me, Luo Feng said. Di Fu, you lost your job because of me. I owe you. It won't be long before I will get you an even better job. Ha ha, then I really hit the jackpot, Di Fu laughed. Coincidentally, I can also go into seclusion for a while now and properly study some of the gains I got from the 9-ringed world tower. Luo Feng was very clear. Di Fu seems to not care, but in reality, he valued that job at the 9-ringed world tower very much. It was after much difficulty that he obtained that job, and the four of them even celebrated it. Now that he lost his job, how could Di Fu not feel pained and dismayed? Deceit Workshop, Elder Tian He. Luo Feng's eyes grew colder. The official flying boat passed by Yulan City, and Luo Feng, disguising his appearance and aura as formless and intangible, boarded the vessel with extreme discretion. Afterward, he used the infinite primordial space transmission from the lake at the foot of the holy mountain to return to the land of origin. Land of origin, Yong City, city owner's mansion. I'm back. Atop a tall building in the city owner's mansion, Luo Feng gazed upon the giant fluffy palm supporting the entire Huyang city, which was none other than the innate secret treasure palm world, controlled by Luo Feng. The palm world, its value is close to that of the Undying heart, thought Luo Feng. But to truly wield its power, the difficulty is much greater than the Undying heart. The Undying heart was a secret treasure Luo Feng had specifically selected from the infinite space treasure vault, most in tune with himself. Centered around the paths of life and destruction, it was naturally the easiest to utilize. The innate secret treasure, palm world, according to primogenitor Yang Feng's initial assessment, was originally a claw of a high-level primordial life form. It had gestated for countless years within a world-level primordial life form in the dream domain before morphing into this innate secret treasure. It possessed very distinct life characteristics, much like the blood-colored scale of the Star Tower, which was primarily based on life and also contained many other paths. Thus, for Luo Feng to unleash the full power of the innate secret treasure, palm world, with life as its core, while also incorporating world, destruction, space, matter, and infinite other mysteries, the difficulty was naturally magnified. With a single step, Luo Feng returned to the inside of the Star Tower. In one of the Star Tower's cultivation spaces, a large quantity of low-level primordial life materials was stored. Luo Feng waved his hand, and materials with even stronger aura began to descend. Low-level primordial life materials of late-stage Divine Emperor strength total 800 pieces with an average price of 38,000 primordial crystals each. For the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm, suitable for my level, I've gathered about 70% of these low-level primordial life forms. For the Divine Emperor Perfection level low-level primordial life forms, there are a total of 80 pieces, each costing an average of several 390,000 primordial crystals. I also purchased 3 pieces of super limit level, low-level primordial life materials, costing a total of 10.2 million primordial crystals. Luo Feng's main wealth was invested in materials. Low-level primordial life is divided by race. Within the same race, the weaker may be at early-stage Divine Emperor, while the stronger may be at Divine Emperor Perfection level. Just as among cultivators, some possess extremely formidable strength, surpassing those at the same level. Among the Divine Emperor Perfection level, low-level primordial life forms, there are also a scarce few that shine exceedingly bright, their strength far above their peers. In the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm, they are referred to as super limit level. One-on-one, even the 3 Hall Masters of Yulan City generally couldn't best them. The so-called super limit level low-level primordial life corpse materials from the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm are usually transported from the Dark Sacred Realm, where the intensity of battle is much higher, making it relatively easier to acquire corpses of this level. Super limit level corpse materials, even the scraps, each part is worth at least a few million primordial crystals. These low-level primordial life materials, each containing the mysteries of life and destruction, Luo Feng was quite elated. This time, I have acquired much more than before. Moreover, I have purchased quite a few auxiliary cultivation treasures. This time, the life and death Tao must break through. The eye of life and death at Luo Feng's brow opened as he started to meticulously analyze these newly acquired materials, embarking on his cultivation. For cultivations at the Divine Emperor level, it was common to meditate in seclusion for hundreds or even thousands of eras. Emperor Qing had decided to go into long-term meditation, and Luo Feng was also prepared for an extended period of seclusion. However, this time Luo Feng purchased too many low-level primordial life materials, and many of them were systematic. For example, within the same race, early stage, middle stage, late stage, and perfection levels of Divine Emperor, Luo Feng bought them all. By comparing them and contemplating, Luo Feng's gains were naturally greater. As Luo Feng analyzed the materials one by one, not even completing the first round of studies and only covering about 70%, it took nearly 200 eras. The accumulation within the life and death Tao slowly but naturally completed, leading to a qualitative change. HM? Sitting cross-legged inside the Star Tower, engaged in habitual contemplation, research, analysis, and integration, Luo Feng inadvertently combined and formed a complete, early-stage God Emperor level life and death Tao in his heart. Luo Feng was initially startled. Then he was filled with joy. The joy of enlightenment is what most fascinates cultivators. Many divine emperors were already invincible in their original home worlds, able to enjoy everything there is to enjoy, yet they still head to the Nine Rivers sacred realm, one after another, risking dangers of death to continue striving and venturing. They seek higher levels of Tao, desiring to see more of the world. 900 eras since heading to Yulan city. The life and death Tao has finally progressed from the ultimate realm of the godly king to the early stage of divine emperor. Luo Feng whispered with a smile. 9 Rivers Sacred Realm, Yulan City, Inner City Heavenly Water District, Residence Number 99179. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing are currently in closed-door training. The power of the life and death Tao at the early stage divine emperor level, how potent is it? Luo Feng couldn't test the power on the land of origin, as the rules of the source world are stringent and have a limit on might. However, in the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm, he could freely test out his techniques. Life and death Tao, the domain of the Tao. With a single thought from Luo Feng. Centered on himself, the life and death Tao operates to form a massive system of rules, creating an expansive domain. The domain is dense and its might is terrifying. If a godly king in the ultimate realm enters this domain, they would likely turn to dust in an instant. Just a single thought, the naturally formed domain of the life and death Tao is even stronger than the endless blood sea domain of my undying blood sea body, Luo Feng marveled, pointing casually. With one point, the might of life and death gathers at a point, piercing through layers of space, even faintly peering into the immense shadow of a secret pattern. The 9 Rivers Sacred Realm is a specially reinforced world, trapping many low-level primordial lives. Luo Feng naturally cannot burst through the world membrane. Just a casual point, stronger than when I exerted my full strength before the retreat. Luo Feng performed a few techniques and had ascertained his own level. That life and death Tao at the early stage of the Divine Emperor should be comparable to a typical late-stage Divine Emperor enlightened one, Luo Feng judged. The life and death Tao, at the ultimate realm godly king level, inherently contains the mighty 9 major branches. In terms of power, it is sufficient to compete with the mid-stage Divine Emperor. The early stage, life and death Tao, of the Divine Emperor is comparable to the ordinary paths of the late-stage Divine Emperor. This was also within Luo Feng's expectations. After all, the early stage level of life and destruction, merely cooperating with each other, possessed the might of a mid-stage Divine Emperor enlightened one. If completely fused as one, the power would naturally advance further. With the life and death Tao of the ultimate realm godly king as the foundation, further using the 2 paths of life and destruction from early stage divine emperor as nourishment and additionally integrating various mystical aspects of life and destruction, finally fully merging them, promoting the life and death Tao to the early stage divine emperor, Luo Feng also felt it was quite a challenge. The 2 paths merged into one. This path is arduous, yet also powerful enough. It has a higher potential. If paired with suitable secret treasures and secret techniques, I should be able to match the weaker elders of Yulan City. Luo Feng nodded slightly. The strength of the elders of Yulan City also varied, with some cultivating both paths, and others practicing some special schools. After breaking through the life and death Tao, Luo Feng did not leave seclusion, but continued his cultivation. Over the years, he observed a large number of low-level primordial life materials with the eye of life and death, accumulating a vast amount of knowledge in the 2 major directions of life and destruction. But before breaking through the life and death Tao, He did not dare continue down these paths, fearing deviation. Taking the wrong path can have severe consequences. Luo Feng would rather be slower but steadier. The higher the realm, the more one understands their own limited knowledge. After breaking through the life and death Tao, Luo Feng's understanding of how life and destruction should merge deepened. He frequently adjusted his cultivation. Cultivation is just so, one must gropingly progress in the dark. Life, destruction, life and death, the three mutually verifying each other, progressing together is the most prudent. After about 90 eras, the path of life, already rich in knowledge, naturally advanced to the middle stage of Divine Emperor. Another 60 eras, and the path of destruction also reached the middle stage of Divine Emperor. Let's pause for now. The paths of life and destruction are relatively simple and more pure, comprehending them is also easier. After promoting the two to the middle stage of Divine Emperor, Luo Feng then stopped. The next focus was to use them as nourishment to help promote the life and death Tao to the middle stage of Divine Emperor. This step is difficult. Fusion? As life and destruction grow stronger, the difficulty of merging them also continuously increases. In the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, it's common to see cultivators who combine different paths. But merging different paths into one? That's extremely rare. Luo Feng tried for a few eras then temporarily stopped. The next breakthrough will require a very long time of accumulation. First, let's study the application methods. The Tao is fundamental. The secret techniques of application are various methods of protecting the Tao. Studying these techniques can also increase one's understanding of the Tao. The previous Undying blood seed body was a bit rough. Luo Feng started to refine. Previously, life and destruction were at the early stage of Divine Emperor, and the life and death Tao was even only at the ultimate realm Godly King level. Using the Eye of Life and Death to observe the Star Tower and the Undying Heart, he created the previous Undying blood sea body. Now with a full realm advancement, Luo Feng's understanding of the Star Tower blood-colored scale and Undying Heart also reached a new height. The Undying blood sea body, thoroughly changed. Refining the secret technique is quite easier than enlightenment. Luo Feng spent merely 3 epochs and created a new version of the Undying blood sea body. It's done. Luo Feng sat cross-legged upon the vast endless blood sea, which is also a part of his body, with a layer of protective blood-colored scales also appearing on his surface. The Undying blood sea body, this physical body indeed possesses some of the mysteries of the Undying Heart. But this endless blood sea. Luo Feng looked at the vast endless blood sea, deep with infinite life force, entirely stemming from my comprehension of that blood-colored scale in the Star Tower. The blood-colored scale of the Star Tower, seemingly just a scale, is actually like an endless sea of blood, with vitality at its peak. And this infinite sea is gathered within a single scale, making this scale indestructible. Senior Yuan was right, no predecessor's Dharma suits me. What suits me best is what I research on my own. I researched the Star Tower's blood-colored scale, the Undying Heart, and the Eye of Life and Death, and the Dharma formed thereafter truly is what I need. Luo Feng increasingly recognized this point with clarity. The Dharma that I painstakingly discovered myself is the only way to fully understand all its mysteries. In the future, to break out of limitations, this holds great promise. Practicing the Dharma of predecessors, although it appears mighty. But does this Dharma suit oneself? Do you understand why this Dharma is structured this way? Depending on such a Dharma as a foundation, what hope is there to break free from limitations? In cultivation, every step must be solid. Luo Feng continued to refine other secret techniques, further perfecting the biomimetic Eye of Life and Death, and also crafted some complementary combat secret techniques based on the advantages of the Undying blood sea body. Luo Feng stood atop a high building in Huyang City Lord's Mansion, looking at the gigantic fluffy paws that supported the entire Huyang City. It's time to bring it out of the source world. With a thought from Luo Feng, the gigantic fluffy paws instantly vanished, then appeared in Luo Feng's hand, instantly merging into his right hand, covering it with a layer of fluffy paws. Innate secret treasures are indeed extraordinary. Luo Feng felt the terrifying destructive power of the fluffy paws, claws that could tear apart everything and also envelop and capture enemies. Such innate secret treasures are not seen for sale even in Yulan city of the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm. If one appeared, even the elders would scramble for it. With my current strength, I am already qualified to take Undying Heart and the innate secret treasure palm world out. Luo Feng thought, the Star Tower and Eye of Life and Death cannot be taken out of the Source World. As for treasures like the Undying Heart, Palm World, although still very precious, the ancestors of both nations at this level of existence, if lucky, could still obtain 1 or 2 pieces. Like those elders in Yulan city of the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, those elders are generally from the Source World, possess the clone technique, and also have opportunities. They mostly acquired treasures like the Undying Heart. But such treasures, they either keep in their homeland or carry with them as they venture through the dark sacred realm. Why would they remain in Yulan city? Sigh? Huyang city silently landed on the ground, causing no ripple. Most creatures within the city remained unaware. Only some residents noticed the disappearance of the continuous 5 mighty mountain ranges outside and were utterly shocked. What happened? Where are the 5 mountain ranges? And that giant paw? Some cultivators in the city began to notice, especially the guards stationed above the city walls, who were particularly panicked and hastily reported up. Standing in the high building of the city owner's mansion, Luo Feng flipped his hand and took out his array map secret treasure. This life and death array map is also of little significance to me now. Using the array map secret treasure as the core, Luo Feng casually set up a supportive formation, initiating a circulation of heaven and earth energy. Natural circulation of heaven and earth energy with the array map as the core enables the formation to easily reach the power limit of the land of origin. Whoosh tilde tilde tilde. The black and white currents surrounded Huyang city, which appeared intermittently amidst the flowing currents. A vast life and death array has thus formed. Master. Morosa approached Luo Feng. What happened to Huyang city? Just changed the garrison formation, Luo Feng said with a smile. The management rules of Huyang city just follow the previous ones. Morosa glanced at Luo Feng's right hand turning into a fluffy paw, somewhat enlightened. Morosa, some guests have arrived, you may leave first, Luo Feng instructed. Yes. Morosa immediately responded. He also sensed that 5 presences had already arrived outside Huyang city, hindered by the life and death array and did not force their way in. Luo Feng looked at the 5 figures outside. Primogenitor Yang Feng, Thunder Ancestor were there, and Time-Space Demon, 2 Realms Palace Master, 1 Far Tower Master, those 3 were also present. The 5 of them were looking at Luo Feng, all bearing goodwill. Gentlemen. Luo Feng smiled and waved. The black and white currents parted, naturally forming a pathway to the city lord's mansion. Luo Feng had prepared some fruits and wine. Felt that the innate secret treasure was withdrawn, and everyone came. Time-Space Demon laughed heartily. It only took a few steps for the 5 powerful beings to likely reach the city lord's mansion. The 6 powerful beings gathered here are indeed the strongest 6 presences of the land of origin. Placed in Yulan city, all 6 would possess the strength of elders. Brother Luo, 1 Far Tower Master spoke with a smile. You withdrew that innate secret treasure. Are you planning to take it outside the source world? I advise you, such a treasure once taken out of the source world, is easily stolen. Right, you've cultivated for too short a time, and your strength is too weak. You can't protect such a treasure when brought out, 2 Realms Palace Master said. Only as few would trade fairly with you. Luo Feng chuckled. My strength weak? Among the 6 here, I should not be the weakest one. Rest assured, we will bid fairly, the Time-Space Demon said with a cheerful smile. Whoever offers the highest price, you give it to them. All 5 of us present have accumulated quite a bit, 1 Far Tower Master said with a laugh. All 5 of them were strong figures from the source world, all possessing clone techniques and held the status of elders in Yulan city. Having cultivated for countless years, their accumulated wealth was naturally astonishing. For instance, serving as an elder, they received a fixed income every epoch. Given that the 1 Far Tower Master and the others could breach barriers and travel to other source worlds, one could imagine the treasured riches they possessed. Luo Feng, we are from the same source world. If the prices are close, you should favor us, Thunder Ancestor said. Luo Feng, you decide for yourself. Primogenitor Yang Feng also looked at Luo Feng. 3 from the alien race and 2 natives. All 5 of them were very keen on acquiring this innate secret treasure. Everyone knows that this innate secret treasure holds special significance to me, Luo Feng said with a smile and a shake of his head. I have no plans to sell it. What a pity. The 5 present felt somewhat disappointed. You also collected 2 portions of special life remnants. Do you plan to sell one of them? Time-Space Demon inquired further. Luo Feng's core of cultivation practice was the Star Tower blood-colored scale and Eye of Life and Death. The Eye of Life and Death was indeed a secret treasure refined from the full body of a world-level primordial life. In fact, for divine emperors, having one portion of world-level primordial life materials as the core of their training was already quite good. Gathering a few portions for contemplation and cultivation might even lead to breaking out of constraints. The 2 portions Luo Feng collected in the land of origin were one dark golden single horn from the dream domain and another material being a segment of black bone. Luo Feng selected these materials based on their extremely high value while observing the dream domain and heavenly pillar realm through the Eye of Life and Death. Not selling, said Luo Feng with a grin. In the early stages of cultivation, when strength is weak and resources are scarce, Thunder Ancestor persuaded from the side, selling one portion of special life remnants could smooth your cultivation significantly. Luo Feng shook his head. Everyone, no need to persuade further. The 5 present felt quite helpless. Acquiring special life remnants or top-tier innate secret treasures was too difficult. With Luo Feng's strength and after experiencing the external world of Yulan City, he was even less likely to sell them off. Thus, both ancestors cultivated emperors, and the 3 alien races nurtured other detached godly kings, letting these juniors help them collect. No rush, Time-Space Demon laughed. If you ever urgently need to make a trade, you can find me anytime. Trading in the outside world, you worry about competition. Trading in the land of origin, it's absolutely safe, Thunder Ancestor also said. Their cultivation had spanned long years, and they had enough patience. They knew full well, perhaps one day, Luo Feng would encounter difficulties and need to sell treasures. Ha ha, good, if I need to trade, I'll definitely contact everyone. Luo Feng was also very polite, and immediately raised his glass. That night, once the gathering dispersed, Luo Feng quietly carried the Undying Heart and Palm World, 2 great treasures, to the Ice Valley. He teleported via the lake, heading towards the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm. 9 Rivers Sacred Realm, at the foot of Holy Mountain, there were also some cultivators waiting for the official flying boat. This time flying alone, headed to Yulan City, Luo Feng didn't wait for the official flying boat that arrives once every epoch, but rather flipped his hand and retrieved a blue droplet which transformed into the shape of a flying boat. He immediately steered the water drop flying boat and left the Holy Mountain. This water drop flying boat was a losing deal originally sold to Luo Feng by Time-Space Demon. Initially, Time-Space Demon chose the set of armor and abyss pearl left by Yuan after his death, presumably worth about 20,000 primordial crystals. But this water drop flying boat, being a late-stage Divine Emperor level flying boat, is valued at about 100,000 primordial crystals. He indeed lost quite a bit. Luo Feng stood inside the boat's cabin, gazing at the outside world. Of course, Luo Feng understood that for the Time-Space Demon, carrying a large amount of treasures through barrier-breaking transfers to the land of origin, the transportation cost was the highest. One water drop flying boat might be just an unremarkable item among the treasures he carried. I don't like taking advantage too much, might find a chance to compensate that Time-Space Demon, thought Luo Feng. This water drop flying boat, being a pure life-class flying secret treasure, was most adept at concealing life aura. In terms of speed and stealth, however, it was far inferior to the Void-class flying secret treasure. This boat is too mediocre. Fortunately, with my realm, I can perfectly utilize the power of this water drop flying boat, and even enhance it by coordinating with the biomimetic Eye of Destruction for better control, life and death flux, even stronger aura concealment, Luo Feng thought. Being able to overperform only represented the weakness of this boat. This trip back to Yulan City, I need to switch to a better flying boat, Luo Feng thought. Phew! The boat flew with completely hidden aura, carefully navigating. Luo Feng's biomimetic eye of destruction had a much wider observation range than before, and even among the elders of Yulan City, not many could match Luo Feng in observation and stealth. From a great distance, he could detect low-level primordial life and avoid them from afar. Low-level primordial life, you encounter them everywhere. Luo Feng spent a total of 12 days on the journey before reaching Yulan City. On my way, I found a total of 39 low-level primordial lives. Luo Feng never dared to strike, because it was outside normal hunting zones. In the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, most of the regions are the territories of low-level primordial life. Cultivators can only rely on the 35 cities, hunting around the cities, and if things go south, they flee back inside the cities immediately. Luo Feng was well aware of this. Cultivators must strictly observe the hunting range. This was a lesson brought about by the deaths of many cultivators. Yulan City. Luo Feng maneuvered the water drop flying boat and flew into the city gate before relaxing. Luo Feng had already visited the various businesses in Yulan City many times, understanding clearly which business sold what goods, their prices, and the reputation of the businesses. Brother Luo Feng. As Luo Feng entered a business, a red-dressed woman in charge immediately greeted him warmly. Brother Luo Feng fought a battle not long ago with the Deceit Workshop team, 2 against 5, not only winning but also killing that Kumo Divine Emperor. Now in the city, everyone's talking about your fame, Brother Luo Feng, the red-dressed woman said enthusiastically. I dislike slaughter, but if they seek death, there's nothing I can do, Luo Feng said calmly. Admiring, the lady in red smiled and said, let's go inside and have a seat. If it were an ordinary guest, an ordinary attendant would suffice for the reception. With the intelligence publicly available on Luo Feng, his strength is now ranked among the top 2,000 in Yulan City, which naturally warrants the personal hospitality of the business owner. The Deceit Workshop team attempted to plunder, and he counter-killed them. This person must be extraordinary. I wonder when I can become a divine emperor myself. Some attendants within the business were whispering among themselves. They couldn't afford to buy information about divine emperors, but they knew well that as one of the top 3 theft and plunder forces, the Deceit Workshop's raiding teams were very powerful. Upon entering an elegant building inside, Luo Feng and the lady in red sat down. I am here today to buy a formation diagram, said Luo Feng, pointing at a formation diagram among the weapon secret treasures floating outside the building. The diagram depicted a colorful, splendid world with 3 special characters. Luo Feng did not recognize the characters but could sense the will contained within them, knowing they meant Xianqing Sky. Oh! The lady in red was surprised as she looked at the formation diagram. The Xianqing Sky Annihilation Array Map? This one costs 8.5 million primordial crystals. The Xianqing Sky Annihilation Map, a half-primordial level secret treasure array map. For the same half-primordial level, whether it encompasses 1 Dao or 2, naturally, the value differs. The ones containing 1 Dao are easier to use and cheaper with a broader user base. Those containing 2 Daos are harder to control and more expensive, suiting a smaller group of users. Flat rate, 8 million primordial crystals. I'm also planning to buy a flying boat, Luo Feng said, aware of their usual discounts. I'll take that Void Netherworld pupil ship as well. Let's make it a total of 10 million primordial crystals for the 2 treasures. The lady in red smiled at Luo Feng, the usual discount being 95% was already the limit. This bargaining was evidently even lower than that. All right, let's round it up, the lady in red smiled. In the future, Brother Luo Feng, you should take good care of our business. Sure, Luo Feng nodded contentedly. After the last hunt and the spoils from killing Kumo, what was left was just over 10 million primordial crystals. After this expenditure, he was poor again. Now I need to purchase half primordial level secret treasures. In the future, suitable treasures will become even scarcer. Luo Feng shook his head lightly. Without any secret treasures, he was still quite strong among late-stage Divine Emperor enlightened ones. With the Undying Heart and Palm World in hand, only the half-primordial level secret treasures could further enhance his strength. With this Xianqing Sky Annihilation map, my endless blood sea can also be arranged, Luo Feng thought. Though the effect of the Undying heart enhancing the Undying blood seed body was good, it could only enhance the direct combat strength of the Undying blood seed body, and not create a wide-ranging domain. Purely relying on his own abilities to cast a domain was still somewhat weak. With this array map, the power of the blood seed domain could be increased several times. This Void Netherworld pupil ship, a vessel containing the mysteries of life and destruction, fits well with my biomimetic eye of destruction. Luo Feng satisfactorily paid 10 million primordial crystals and exchanged for these two great treasures. Emperor Qing, who was in seclusion, received a message from Luo Feng and immediately came out of seclusion. Brother Luo Feng, you came out of seclusion so quickly. Emperor Qing came out surprised. Wasn't it said you'd be in long-term seclusion? We've offended Deceit Workshop. It's not suitable to go out without certain confidence. Luo Feng smiled slightly. I am confident now. Confident? Emperor Qing was stunned for a moment. Sure enough, this seclusion had only just passed 360 epochs. Emperor Qing then asked, we've offended Deputy Workshop Master Elder Tian He of the Deceit Workshop. Are you confident in dealing with Elder Tian He? Luo Feng nodded. Emperor Qing felt his brain booming, somewhat flustered. He realized what Luo Feng's nod represented. You've reached the level of a late-stage Divine Emperor Enlightened One. Emperor Qing looked at Luo Feng in disbelief. Just a single, early-stage Divine Emperor Life and Death Dao was already comparable to a late-stage Divine Emperor Enlightened. Not to mention, both the Life and Destruction Daos are at the mid-stage of Divine Emperor. Not to mention, there were also the Undying Heart and Palm World, two great treasures in hand. Of course, Luo Feng had the confidence to face Elder Tian He. This seclusion, there were some breakthroughs as well. Luo Feng smiled. Emperor Qing was stunned, not knowing what to say. He had watched Luo Feng grow up before his eyes. For him, who struggled for a long span in mid-stage Divine Emperor Enlightened and barely managed to break through, how could he stand it? I've long heard that in countless worlds, a tiny group at the very top has terrifyingly high talent. Emperor Qing looked at Luo Feng. I've witnessed it now. Luo Feng just smiled. He really didn't find it difficult. During the time in the primordial cosmos, before reaching the Undying stage, each step of his was very solid. Each step reached unimaginable limits of the same level, even surpassing those limits. That's why he cultivated the perfect divine body, and his spiritual will also became so high. In the land of origin, the foundation of each level was exceedingly robust. Overly profound foundations also allowed him to obtain treasures like the Star Tower and Eye of Life and Death, which in turn made his cultivation smoother. Becoming half primordial isn't difficult, Luo Feng had discussed with Senior Yuan. In the eyes of elders like Senior Yuan, groping in the dark to become half primordial was fairly easy. Places like the Dark Sacred Realm are filled with such powerhouses. Breaking out of the braided cage is where the real difficulty lies. Regardless, it's an honor for me, Emperor Qing, to team up with Brother Luo Feng to hunt, opined Emperor Qing. I'm preparing to go hunting, will you come? Luo Feng asked. Yes, of course. Emperor Qing immediately agreed. Although they had agreed to go hunting, both Luo Feng and Emperor Qing needed to make some preparations. Luo Feng had to familiarize himself with the newly acquired Xianqing Sky Annihilation map, and Emperor Qing needed to consider which secret treasures to bring along in anticipation of facing formidable enemies. Half a century later, they finally set off. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing have gone hunting. Emperor Ming and Di Fu also saw them off. Last time, we offended Deputy Workshop Master Elder Tian He of the Deceit Workshop. Now that the two of them have gone hunting, if they encounter retaliation from the Deceit Workshop. Emperor Ming expressed his worries. Having been in Yulan City for so long, he was well aware of the workshop's style. Di Fu chuckled and looked towards the entrance of the cave mansion. Since they dared to venture out, they must be confident in their response. If I'm not wrong, our days here in Yulan City are about to get better. During these past 300 or so centuries, Emperor Ming dared not venture out, and Di Fu didn't work either, both cultivating in seclusion within the cave mansion. Do you trust them that much? Emperor Ming was surprised. What I trust is Luo Feng. Di Fu had previously invested a great deal of effort in understanding Luo Feng's every move. After confirming the nature of Luo Feng's character, he repeatedly assisted Luo Feng, not caring even if it meant offending Di Yang. Emperor Ming looked at Di Fu with confusion. "Haven't you noticed?" Di Fu said with a smile, "Brother Luo Feng has always been confident in the battles he initiates." Upon reflection, Emperor Ming agreed indeed it was so. From an eternal true god to appear at Emperor Qing's level, and it only took 1,000 or so centuries, Di Fu spoke softly. "You should know, Brother Luo Feng has been in Yulan City for 1,000 centuries as well. With better cultivation resources here, Brother Luo Feng's progress should only be faster." Di Fu said, "The ancestors have said that Brother Luo Feng is either a reincarnation of an alien race or has a terrifyingly formidable talent. Now it seems, it's likely the latter," Di Fu said with a smile. "All we need to do is wait here for good news." Luo Feng and Emperor Qing rode together on a black flying boat, heading straight towards the outermost city gate of Yulan City. Buzz. The entire Yulan City was enveloped by various colorful protection systems, and invisible waves swept across the city time and again. With these, it was possible to pinpoint the location of every resident. The moment a resident had unpaid residence fee, their position could be immediately identified. Or if they lacked a residence within 3 days, they would be expelled from the city. These protection systems also prevented the infiltration of low-level primordial life. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing, riding on the same flying boat, are heading for the East City Gate. This message was naturally shared with Deputy Workshop Master Elder Tian of the Deceit Workshop. In Yulan City, as long as one was willing to pay enough, intelligence organizations could sync up the latest information at any time. The two of them are going out together? Elder Tian sat there, slowly opening his eyes, which were narrow and as calm as still water. Out hunting after just 300 or so centuries, no patience, eh? Elder Tian said with a light chuckle, immediately summoning a subordinate. Whoosh! A shadowy figure enveloped in grey mist appeared outside the room, its green eyes looking at Elder Tian and respectfully saluting, Deputy Workshop Master. Mist Fang, Elder Tian instructed with a smile. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing are heading towards the East City Gate on a flying boat. Go there, and just lock onto their position. Once they are far away from Yulan City, inform me. It was not suitable to act near Yulan City, as they could quickly retreat into the city if they were attacked, making it difficult to pursue them. Only when the distance was greater and it was tougher for the targets to flee back to the city could he slowly plot and kill them one by one. Yes, Mist Fang responded respectfully, then vanished silently. Elder Tian pondered, even though they came from the source world, being only mid-stage Divine Emperor enlightened individuals, they are probably not very wealthy. Even if they go hunting and bring their most suitable treasures, they might only be worth tens of millions of primordial crystals. Killing enemies and seizing their treasures was a matter of convenience. Elder Tian primary goal was to intimidate. Dare to offend me in Yulan City, you must pay a sufficient price. Elder Tian eyes were ice cold. Inside the black flying boat. The moment we left the cave mansion, the Yulan City Intelligence Organization must have known, and the Deceit Workshop must have been informed as well. Luo Feng looked at Emperor Qing beside him. The strong ones from the Deceit Workshop are probably already tracking us. Ha ha, if Brother Luo Feng is confident, what do I have to be afraid of? Emperor Qing laughed. If Emperor Qing were on his own, he naturally wouldn't dare to provoke the Deceit Workshop. But since Luo Feng acknowledged himself as having the strength of a late-stage Divine Emperor enlightened individual, Emperor Qing was naturally willing to venture out with him. Brother Luo Feng, we must make it clear before we leave the city, the hunt's reward shall be split 90-10. Emperor Qing looked at Luo Feng. This might be our last hunt together, and in agreeing to a 90-10 split, I am already taking advantage. Normally, a late-stage Divine Emperor would not take a mid-stage Divine Emperor enlightened individual hunting with them. There was a fundamental difference in strength between them. All right, Luo Feng replied with a smile, let's do as you said. Both were extremely proud and did not want to take undue advantage of the other. Luo Feng was also aware. After this hunt, once he revealed his true strength, Emperor Qing probably would not want to team up again. The gap was too large, teaming up no longer made sense. This time, it was probably their last hunt together. Since arriving in Yulan City, Emperor Qing has arranged a cave mansion for residents, lent me primordial crystals, brought me hunting, and taught me some hunting experience. I owe him a favor. Luo Feng kept it in mind. Indeed, Emperor Qing had been cultivating Luo Feng as a comrade in arms to trust with life and death. Unfortunately, Luo Feng's growth was too rapid. Whoosh! The black flying boat flew out through the East City Gate in an instant. Not far from the East City Gate, a shadowy grey mist figure watched the black flying boat leave. They have left the city. Mist Fang looked on from a distance. As he saw them leave, an imperceptible mark landed on the black flying boat. He did not directly brand Luo Feng and Emperor Qing, since the stronger their power, the more sensitive their perception. Merely branding the flying boat was far more covert. Sigh? The foggish figure also manipulated a flying boat, maintaining a sufficient distance behind, just leaving the city. The Nine Rivers Sacred Realm's suppression was too severe, even his tracking mark needed to be within a certain range. The farther the distance, the more blurred the sensing would become. Inside the black flying boat. After leaving the city, Deceit Workshop might take action at any moment. Emperor Qing surveyed the surroundings but failed to notice the invisible mark on the surface of the flying boat. Luo Feng's biomimetic Eye of Destruction had been opened since earlier. The path of life and death Tao at the early stage of Divine Emperor, the path of life and destruction at the middle stage of Divine Emperor. Accumulated experience in these realms allowed Luo Feng to delve deeper into the research of the Eye of Life and Death, naturally making his biomimetic Eye of Destruction even more formidable. Brother Emperor Qing, at the moment we left the city, Deceit Workshop had already locked onto us. Luo Feng's biomimetic Eye of Destruction saw a very faint mark on the surface of the boat. Locked onto us? Emperor Qing was shocked. A mark of the causality line, a very clever tactic, Luo Feng observed with his biomimetic Eye of Destruction. If it were the real Eye of Life and Death, it's feared that the entire protective formation of Yulan City wouldn't be able to block the peering, and standing here, Luo Feng would be able to peer into the movements of all creatures within Yulan City. However, if the Eye of Life and Death were brought out of the source world, it's feared that disaster would descend. This biomimetic Eye of Destruction could also see a very faint causality line upon that mark. The causality line penetrated the void, connecting to a distant place. I'll go see who is tracking us, Luo Feng said with a slight smile, as a blood-colored apparition burst out from his body and rapidly flew along the causality line towards the other end, leaving the black flying boat. At a sufficiently far distance behind, the foggish figure maneuvered a common flying boat just as they had exited Yulan City. Sigh? Inside the cabin of the flying boat. The foggish figure looked ahead from afar, locking onto the position of the black flying boat with the mark. Deputy Workshop Master, they have also traveled a certain distance away from Yulan City, and I have already left the city to follow them. The foggish figure immediately contacted Elder Tian. I will report their position at any moment. Very good, you just need to keep a close watch on them, responded Elder Tian. The foggish figure drove the flying boat and was quite relaxed. He was most adept at tracking, escaping, and sorcery, tracking Luo Feng and Emperor Qing. He had never been worried. This Luo Feng is truly arrogant. He'd rather offend Elder Tian for 50 million primordial crystals. The foggish figure, as a mid to high-level member of Deceit Workshop, also understood the full process of events. Elder Tian is notoriously vicious and ruthless. Once he takes action, he never shows mercy. The foggish figure had seen Elder Tian make a move before. That was truly terrifying. Any elder of Yulan City must not be underestimated because these elders are generally powerhouses from the source world with the clone technique, and luck and opportunity are not lacking for them. All of them have honed their skills to an extremely terrifying degree. Sigh? The foggish figure piloted the flying boat, maintaining a sufficient distance from Luo Feng's boat, and continued flying. Suddenly, a huge fuzzy paw stretched out from the depths of the sky, reaching towards the flying boat piloted by the foggish figure. Not good. Low-level primordial life. Ambushed, the foggish figure was jolted. He was skilled in escape and tracking, and now that he had just left the city not far away, he had never considered being ambushed by low-level primordial life at this position. In the moment that the supermassive fuzzy paw reached out, the surrounding heavens and earth seemed as if they were sliced apart, becoming a spatial cage. The realm in which the foggish figure's flying boat resided had become a complete heaven and earth cage, this cage, nestled in the palm of the fuzzy paw. The innate secret treasure, Palm World. Escape. Remaining inside the flying boat meant certain death. The foggish figure roared in an instant, transforming into boundless, endless fog. This fog sought to tear through the heaven and earth cage and escape. At the same time, it also concealed 9 subtle fogs, which scattered and fled using the obscure causality lines. As a source world cultivator with clone technique, the foggish figure did not purchase 2 powerful escape treasures because his own escaping methods were also very strong. Boom! The huge fuzzy paw suddenly clenched tight. This clench. Palm World, all annihilated. And the towering figure owning the huge fuzzy palm, its biomimetic eye of destruction opened upon his brow, seeing clearly the subtle causality lines the foggish figure wanted to escape through. As his giant palm clenched, while the palm world was annihilated, every single causality line was targeted, eradicating every escaping fog body. No, the fog bodies being annihilated resisted with remarkable tenacity. However, Luo Feng's huge fuzzy palm, controlled by the undying blood sea body, held infinite terrifying power, forcibly squeezing these tenacious fog bodies into nothingness, utterly annihilating them. Mid-stage Divine Emperor, the enlightened, the foggish figure, no matter how adept at escaping, fell in a single stroke under the giant fuzzy paw. The treasures carried on his person also fell into Luo Feng's hands. Mid-stage Divine Emperor, the foggish figure. Luo Feng realized, Elder Tian, he sent the foggish figure to track us. This innate secret treasure, Palm World, indeed possesses considerable power. Luo Feng was quite satisfied looking at his own fuzzy paw. With my strength, without Palm World, even relying on the undying blood sea body, it would have probably taken 3 to 5 moves to extinguish the foggish figure. Luo Feng was quite pleased. With Palm World, 1 move is enough. No wonder elders all crave such treasures, they indeed offer a great enhancement to one's strength. Sigh? Luo Feng flickered and turned into a blood-red shadow, merging into the heavens and earth, vanishing from sight. This episode is end here.